So making tamales is a full day process because of all the different steps. The first step is actually cooking the meat that's going to go inside as filling. I bought a bone-in cut because I love the richness that comes out of the broth when you use a cut of meat that has a bone. We're going to cook our paleta de puerco, the pork butt, in water with about 1 small onion. And we're going to cut the onion in half and remove the peeling. This is just for flavor in the broth and to flavor the meat, as well as a whole head of garlic. And you're going to peel each individual clove of garlic before you put it into the pot of boiling water with the pork butt. A handful of oregano, so about 2 tablespoons of oregano. We're going to crush it as we put it in to get some of the flavor out. We're also going to use about 2 tablespoons of salt. For me, this is about a handful of salt because I have small hands, but it's about 2 tablespoons of salt. So we're going to simmer all of these ingredients, the pork, the onion, the oregano, the salt, and the garlic, low and slow for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So once the meat's ready, you're going to turn it off and you're going to let it cool for about an hour and a half. You also want the meat to be cold enough so that you can shred it easily using forks and knives, and sometimes your fingers a little bit to pull out some tricky pieces. We're also going to reserve the broth from the meat because that's what we're going to use for our chili sauce. Depending on what kind of pods you use, you can either clean them in the water or outside of the water. I've learned from my mother and grandmother to clean the chili pods in water, and so I'm going to slice each individual chili pod open with my thumb, and then I'm going to open it and pull out all of the seeds and take off the stem, and I can throw them in the blender with about 4 cloves of garlic, a tablespoon of oregano, 2.5 to 3 cups of the broth that we've reserved. And then I'm going to blend it on high for about 5 minutes so that it becomes a nice paste. After we've blended the chili for about 5 minutes on high, it's smooth, has a consistency that's really beautiful. We're going to put it into a bowl and we're going to add the shredded pork meat to the chili. So these things we're going to combine so the chili and the pork become sort of a meat sauce. So now that the chili and the pork are ready, they're all combined, we can make our tamales. We have masa already prepared, thankfully, from the market. It's light, it's fluffy, it's going to make great tamales. We've also soaked our corn husks in hot water for about an hour, so they're nice, soft, pliable, easy to handle, and we're going to assemble the tamales. We can do it alone or we can do it in a group. It's more fun if you have people around you and it goes a lot faster. People like to make tamales in many different ways. We're going to make really big fat tamales today. Some people will only use 1 to 2 tablespoons of masa in their tamal. We're going to use about 1/4 cup of masa, which is a lot. These are going to be really big tamales and they're going to take much longer to steam, but everyone's going to feel that we're very generous cooks. And once it's all spread even, nice and light, you're going to take the chili that's mixed with the meat and spread about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons right down the center of the corn husk where you've already laid down the masa. You're then going to grab the corn husk with your hand from underneath and you're going to sort of squish it like a taco so that the meat becomes completely surrounded by masa, and you're going to fold the bottom of the corn husk up and lay it on itself. So the weight of the masa is sort of holding that corn husk in place, like a nice little gift of masa, meat, and red chile that you're going to steam next. So while we've been assembling our masa, I've set a steamer that we've also purchased at the market on the stove with about 2 inches of water at the bottom and then the steamer on top of it. I've also laid a layer of extra corn husks, the ones that were too small or a little funky and I couldn't use them to make tamales, to sort of protect the tamales from getting splashed with the water. So now that we have all of our tamales assembled, we are gonna line them up in the pot in a cute little spiral, and we're gonna fit, I would say, about 20 tamales. I also like to stick some of the other extra corn husks between tamales so they have room to breathe, room to steam. Don't want to overcrowd them. And we're going to steam these because they're so big. I would say for about 3 hours. It's sort of a cooking by touch thing as well. You'll know that tamales are done when you pull them out. You can take one out and test it, and the hoja, the corn husk, will no longer stick to the masa. It'll come up off really easy. Tamales are a great family tradition. They're a wonderful little gift to open up on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning and share with your family. And I know I'm going to enjoy making tamales all holiday season long with my friends, my family, my cousins, and sharing this family tradition of cooking food together.
Ay, qué rico. Mira mi cuico.